Every business knows they need great marketing, but it's often hard to know what works and what you should be doing, let alone finding the time to do it. Abby and her team at Crisp Communications take all this hassle away, creating beautiful marketing that helps businesses put their best foot forward. They don't just deliver great results, they're also super easy to work with and practice what they preach with great communication all along the way. So if you need a new website, new branding, new brochures, or even help with your podcast, head to crispcoms.co to find out more.
There are a few things finer in life than beer.
But have you ever wondered how that golden goodness was made?
Then hop on board with Hop On Brewery Tours.
We'll take you behind the scenes of local breweries, show you the fascinating brewing process, and even find the right beer for you.
With full and half-day tour options available, Hop On Brewery Tours offer the most fun, educational, and unique day out in Brisbane or on the Gold Coast.
Change your perception of beer with Hop On Brewery Tours, Queensland's original craft beer tours. Visit hoponbrewerytours.com.au today.
So, are you ready to hop on?
Remember, always drink responsibly.
Kick looks all right. Joe Danaher standing up in the big moments. Those that were here will never forget what they saw. Brisbane just had unfinished business to attend to at the MCG.
The Lions produce a domination to make the golden era proud. The premiership is going back to Brisbane.
From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop, the Brisbane Lions never stopped believing.
Well, Cyclone Alfred did an absolute number on the footy world the last week. Not only did it postpone our opening round clash with Geelong, it is pushed back the podcast for 24 hours, but we are back with the Brisbane Lions Fancast. Thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours and Crisp Communications. I'm sitting currently in the damp. The studio, as you would have seen on our socials, did gather a little bit of water, so I'm sitting on currently maybe 7 or 8 towels that are still soaking up water that's coming in through the floorboards, but we press on because that's what we like to do here on the Brisbane Lions Fancast. We do have a little bit of footy to talk about, albeit not about the Brisbane Lions, but we've now got a new opponent to look forward to, and it is the very opponent that we absolutely embarrassed on the 28th of September 2024. So that's all to look forward to. Patrick, how has your week been down in not so rainy Melbourne, Victoria?
It's fine. It's too hot. I don't like it, but I can't complain. So there's no one wants to hear me complain. I did think better of recording a solo podcast yesterday because I thought that no one would want to listen to that.
You never know.
No, they wouldn't. Like, not even I would have listened to that. So I am fine. I hope you are fine. I hope everybody is relatively fine. All of the people that I've messaged have been like, yeah, we're all good. So lucky them.
Yep.
But yeah, weird ones. I remember doing a lot of kind of sort of grunt work in the 2011 floods back when I was up there, community stuff and things like that. It was not a great time then, and I can't imagine it's a great time now.
No, I don't think it's as devastating as 2011, having not been up here for the 2011 floods. We had a couple of floods in 2022, and I think it's similar levels, maybe a little bit below that. And what I've experienced here, just a little bit of pooling in my shed out here, and busted stormwater pipes, which led to a little bit of having to dig some trenches over the weekend and redirect some water away from not only our property, but our neighbour's property as well. So that is fairly low level compared to what some people are going through, and Harvey Bay has been completely smashed in the last 48 hours as well. So if you are listening and it's affected you, we hope you stay safe and stay out of floodwaters. Don't be driving in floodwaters. Don't be silly, and we'll all get through this one together. And it certainly has been some sort of week.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I don't want to comment too much because I don't want to sound insensitive or like I'm making light of anything, because I really am not. But I just sort of, when you like a bit of concept, you can like a bit of perspective. So wishes go to anybody and everybody. So.
All right, well, let's get into it. As I said, our opening round match, which we would normally be talking about, has been pushed back. On retrospect, us suggesting that it could have flipped with Geelong was pretty silly, wasn't it?
No.
I think it was in the end.
I mean, it was, but it wasn't. Like, I guess it's probably not the greatest thing for, all of the strapping young lads to kind of vacate the area and leave the wives and kids at home to fend for themselves and dig trenches.
Yeah.
So probably a bit tone deaf, but, you know, I said a precedent was set and I'm willing to stick with that. So,
Okay, fair enough.
at least we're not in the boat of Gold Coast and Essendon.
That's true. Yeah, the round 24 refixture, silly. At least ours was fairly straightforward. Round 3, Saturday night, 6:30 at the Gabba, straight after our game with West Coast. So that is something to look forward to. Look, all right, a couple of things we should chat about Lions related. And the first one is the 2 documentaries that came out last Tuesday. We had the much anticipated Fox documentary Dancing on Thin Ice, and the surprise packet that came at the 11th hour, which was the 20-minute job on the AFL website, Pound the Rock. Now, I don't want to... What I will say is I'm probably not going to watch
No, I'll take over from you.
Okay.
I'll say anyone that hasn't watched Dancing on Thin Ice, save yourself the trouble and watch Pound the Rock 3 times.
I'm not going to watch the Fox one again.
You're spending your time better.
Yeah. Pound the Rock was much better. Yeah. And Dancing on Thin Ice wasn't awful. I just didn't enjoy the format at all. And it was just a bit of a season recap. It was very staged. Brownie was a bit cheesy. You barely... Like, what was the point of Cal Archie and Kai Lohman? They said one word each. And the weird spacing of them sitting in that theatre. There was lots to like. It was always good look back on a fantastic season, but I don't think it was anything earth-shattering, and I won't watch it again, I don't think.
No, to be honest, I was... when Brownie said, all right, I've brought you all here to watch Jonathan Brown's highlights, let's start with the 2002 Mark of the Year, that would have been more interesting. Unpopularly, because I want to see that. I want to see those people see that mark and watch it with Brownie. But that was, jump the gun there. But no, Pound the Rock was fantastically done, and it was a bit like a touchstone where a bit like the McRae-Fagan one from last year that followed the 2023 grand final. We got to see things behind the scenes and just some of the goings on and things that you'd not seen, interviews with people, you know. It was Lockie, Big O and Zorko, I think, were the ones that were interviewed with that or on that.
Yeah, maybe I think maybe Will Ashcroft was involved in that one as well, potentially. I'm not too sure. The crossover. The best bit for Pound the Rock by a country mile is getting to hear the mic'd up hug between Lee and Fags. Like, that was amazing. Because that moment, I think, lives in every Lions fan's hearts and minds for basically eternity. That vision of them, embracing and shedding a tear together. To get the mic'd up version of that was really good. What I did like about the Fox version was, hearing Lockie's speech at the end of the Collingwood game when they were all in the huddle. Like, there was very infamous when we lost that game. The guys all stayed out in that huddle and had the chat before they came off. So it was good to get a bit of an insight there. That was probably the best thing about the Fox version, the Dancing on Thin Ice. Yeah,
I must admit I forgot that happened, but I do remember that, and it was good. The other thing was probably just Zorko talking about how I think the 2 losses against GWS and Collingwood gave them a bit of levity going into finals, which is definitely something that you and I disagreed with on at the time, just as to whether that's a good thing or it's a bad thing. But, hindsight's 2020 and we won the premiership, so...
Like, all the pieces fell into place. I think, as I said at the time, I think the fact that we lost those 2 games, GWS and Collingwood, and it was at the hands of small forwards in the 11th hour, sort of both times, it meant that Noah Answorth came into the team and Shadowbrain came out of it, and we saw the need for that defensive small defender, and we didn't look back from there. So whether that was the catalyst or just the general kick up the arse that they needed, and this speech obviously that Big O made to the group about giving themselves to the team, it was great to get that sort of insight across both the specials last week.
Yeah, but all in all, good to have content.
Yeah.
You've not watched Full Sweat, right?
I have not watched Full Sweat. I don't really intend to.
You're one of those like Gen Zer types, aren't you? Like, you just cranking all of the slogans and social medias and whatever. That's you, in a nutshell.
Sure, basically, yep.
Nah, I watched it. It's okay. It was sort of, a bit meh. Sort of, it's if you've watched a lot of, I'll try and put it this way. So it's an Australian version of those like really good documentaries that you see on like Amazon and Netflix and stuff. It's just like slightly less good.
Yep.
Sam Mitchell mumbles his way through everything. They don't give anything away, and why should they?
No.
Really. And they're not particularly likable individuals. So good on them.
It's a big reason why I
Giving a thumbs up.
didn't go and watch it. Was the Hawthorn glazing, as people have been referring to it over the last 12 and a bit months. Just a bit over it. I don't. And look, if I was a Hawks fan, I'd be all over it for sure. It's just, as a Brisbane Lions fanatic, there's no need for me to go and watch that one. Maybe if I get bored one day and I thought, I'll go check it out. But yeah, it's a bit strange. It's like when Melbourne brought that preseason doco out a couple of years ago to hell and back, and then then they shit the bed in the season.
Missed that one.
Yeah, wow. Same
missed
thing.
That one.
Same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Hawthorn. It doesn't really have a great deal of narrative flow. And I don't necessarily know why it should, but a lot of, good documentaries do have an element of narrative flow to them. So, it's fine, but, it's Hawthorn. So I think there's one great irony of Sam Mitchell talking about them wanting to play the Hawthorn way and be tough at the contest. And, when you've won inside forward 50 high contact free kicks by a landslide, it's a funny thing, but... anyway.
Hey, look,
yes, opening round.
They scored themselves a good win on Friday night against the Swans, who we'll be coming up against. They looked impressive. It's hard to take away anything from their performance at the SCG. Walked away with a 20-point win. Sydney were far from their best. I don't know. I don't know what to expect next week, hey, because on one hand, they've had 6 months to sit and fester and think about how he pulled their pants down on grand final day, and surely that's got to be some sort of motivation for them. But on the other hand, they're swinging Tom McCartan forward and leaving very little in their defensive stocks in the back six. Melican's doing the heavy lifting there. I think they're probably better off with Hayden McLean in that forward line and using Tom McCartan down back, so they've got an intercept marker. But not a great start for the Swans.
I didn't realise Dane Rampy was on the field for like most of that game. And then I saw him and I was like, oh, okay. Where have you been? Sydney were awful in that last quarter. They were absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
When
the game was there to be won, they made some really weird decisions like that. That Florent kick across goal straight to Connor McDonald, who was just standing there waiting to pick it off, was... interesting choice.
That's forgivable because I think he just like sliced the kick.
He munged it, yeah. They were just hack kicking the ball, and Brodie Grundy looks awful. Like, he looks so underdone. Isaac Heaney was terrible. Amadi was good. He was basically playing by himself for like portions of that game. Him and Chad Warner. Yep.
I mean, there were obviously like decent passages of play throughout, but just, that last quarter, they were just hack kicking it to spare defenders. And when you had Sicily was taking intercept marks for free in the first half. And then it was just, there was a point, there's a point where Tom Barras was kind of, had it continued on the trajectory of that game with Amadi kicking 4 on him or 3 on him, it could have been a terrible first game, but then he ended up they were kicking it straight to him for the whole, more or less the second half, and it made him look $1 million. It made it look like a fantastic deal. And it probably is. But, why are you playing Nick Blakey at fullback? He doesn't have the willingness or want to defend, and we saw that on grand final day, and we've seen that in round 1 or round 0. So why would anyone assume otherwise? Melican is perfectly serviceable, but he can't do it by himself. So, what are they going to do? Like, they've got problems at either end. It's almost like the reverse Geelong.
They're desperately missing Errol Goulden. Like, they are desperately missing his run and precision foot skills, and it was left for Nick Blakey to do way too much.
Well, you can't have Blakey play fullback and do that.
Yeah.
I just think their stocks, their tall stocks, basically, if you even look at the ruck, fullback, full forward, ruck, not great. Although Amadi, I would be asking the question if I were the Lions.
Sure, right, okay.
I don't know, he looked good.
Okay, well, it's opening round. I'm not going to be jumping the gun and getting on board the Amadi party at this stage. That's for sure. Look, I'm sure they'll make a couple of changes for this Saturday when they come up against us. And as I said, they've had 6 months to think about. We've heard Dean Cox say they dedicated their entire first day of preseason to watching back the grand final. 8 hours it took, an hour for the first 60 seconds alone. So it must be deeply burned into their memories at this stage. And like I said, it would serve as some sort of motivation for when they come up against us on Saturday.
Yes, but does that always work?
Who knows? Who knows?
Ask Adelaide.
On the flip side, yeah. Well, I mean, after the grand final, they came out and belted Richmond in 2018, and I think that would have been in the first couple of rounds. But neither here nor there. It's going to be an interesting match. We had a scratchy, a match sim where evidently Charlie Cameron kicked 9 goals, 2 and 33 touches. So that's not a bad little tune-up for Chuck. But you have to imagine he was.
Sorry, what?
You have to imagine he was playing on some lower level players, I guess, if he's pulling numbers like that.
So that was in the week off, right?
Yeah, so when the call came through that the match was going to get postponed, they did a sort of spur-of-the-moment match sim, and Charlie Cameron obviously starred in that one. The good news about this whole
not starring in it.
The good news about this whole situation is we do have Brandon Starcevich available, providing he's cleared all the concussion protocols and all that sort of stuff. He's obviously through the mandated 12-day protocol, so he should be fit for selection, barring any sort of setback or whatnot, any lingering symptoms. So that is a good sign. Not that Sydney's... Well, actually, they've got that new small forward, Hanlon, who, the Tom Papley carbon copy. We know that Stars has done a great job on Papley before, so it'd be good to have him back in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of just makes things a little bit clearer, a little bit easier, and also just getting that extra, essentially week of preseason, which I think is, going to be good.
Yeah.
So, that game was a thing that happened. Hawthorn were okay. They were pretty good. The Wizard was awful, which is...
Yeah, Wizard and Ginnivan both had fairly quiet nights. Sisley was obviously fantastic. Lloyd Meek was fantastic. Dylan Moore stepped up again.
Dylan Moore.
Yeah. Carl Amon had
Sam
a belter.
Day also really good.
Will Day.
Oh, sorry, Will Day. Hopefully Sam Day can be really good.
I sure hope so.
I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is that I would not have been able to point Sam Day out of a police lineup.
Yep.
But I've been calling Will Day him for years now. Don't know what it is. But yeah, how they missed him in the elimination final, or, whatever, second final,
that's right,
elimination final, qualifying final. How they missed him last year, because, yeah, that's quite a game. Quite a game.
Yeah. Look, other than that, Taylor Adams will be out, so he'll come out of that Sydney lineup as well. A lot of good players had quiet nights. Will Hayward had a fairly quiet night by his standards. Braden Campbell, I know he can do better than that. My mate Angus Sheldrick forced his way into the lineup, so you'd have to imagine he gets another game. But yeah, Ben Patton...
James Jordan was terrible. James Jordan was just hack kicking it like the best of them.
Yeah, and he was, probably one of their best on.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sydney is a strange team.
Yep. I think we
so
should
on to the other part of Sydney.
Yes.
The western part.
Yes, Orange Tsunami. Finn Callahan showing why he was offered 1.7 over 10 years.
Yeah, works pretty good. The writing's been on the wall for him for a long time. He does have games like this, we would know.
Yes, he
it's just a matter of whether he can string them together. So they put Collingwood to the sword, and I loved it because they outran them.
Yep.
Even without a ruckman. Thankfully, Big Briggsy's not too worse for wear. It looked bad.
It did look bad. The shove didn't look that bad. The Darcy.
No,
Carey,
it was more just the neck whiplash thing. Looked kind of a bit graphic.
Yeah.
So yeah, seems like he's all right. Yeah, they destroyed him, and they didn't have Hogan because they didn't have Hogan and other fella and Tom Green. So, riddle me that. And Sam Taylor kicked a goal. Dan McStay loved a bit of a slappo in the face, so good for him. And the game was stopped because Nick Dacos had a cramp.
Yeah, that's a bit much, isn't it?
In the third quarter.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure Kane Corns has done this to death.
Oh, he has blown up.
Because I've not listened. But
he has
I'm
gone
sure
hard.
that he is. The other thing I can probably imagine, is with McRae having a go at Toby Bedford. Warning. Now, I find that amazing because in play you're not really supposed to have a go. So I find that insane, and it's a bit of a treating them because they're Collingwood. So we've seen it before with Collingwood and Geelong. I'm sure we'll see it again, but it's boring at this point in time. So give the man a fine.
Well, an official warning, so I can't imagine him doing it again. But yeah, Craig McRae's not doing himself any favours these last couple of years, is he? And that list is going to be one to watch across 2025. Important question for you. What did you think of both the Channel 7 and the Fox Footy score bugs, as they're known?
Yeah, well, that was this week I learnt that they're called score bugs.
Yes, me too.
This week I learnt. Excessive. Now, I didn't watch on Channel 7, so I rather would have listened to Jared Waitley and even Hutto.
Yep.
And I also thought that Gary Lyon stayed in his lane.
Yep.
And also they relegated fucking old mate to the boundary line. Sarah Jones, not quite as good as Abby Holmes, but fair enough.
I don't mind Sarah Jones. I like
and
Sarah
also
Jones.
Dunstall's always good.
Yeah.
She was all right. There was just a bit of communication sort of stuff going on. But they were trying to present a more professional product.
Yep.
And I appreciated that. So, but yeah, the score bug, it struck me as enormous, and for people to be able to see on phones or at the pub was my initial thought.
Yeah, fair call.
Which I find to be stupid, and I think that they should know better.
I didn't mind the
I don't know.
I didn't mind the Channel 7 one, to be fair. Like, centered, that wasn't being that obnoxious. Like, still a little bit obnoxious comparative to last year's. I didn't mind it. The Fox Footy one was just bizarre in that it was massive and took up like 65%. I'd rather it just go the whole way along and go like full cricket scoreboard, where it just goes all the way along the bottom, where you can have scores and other info flashing up, and it's not, I don't know, obstructing the view. It's just another bit down the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, at least with cricket ones, they sort of try to design them a bit nicer. Like, you could tell, like, does it really need to say Thursday Night Footy in the bottom corner or Sunday Ticket? And, like, the idea that the Sunday Ticket one particularly, now we figured out it's designed so poorly, it doesn't even fit in the square. So all they've done is they've taken the top bit of the ball, they've mirrored it, and then rubbed out where the sticks would be, or the threads. I'm doing a lot of hand signals here. But they forgot to colour in the bottom, so there's like a pixel missing, and it looks stupid.
I mean,
looks
and
insanely stupid.
The resolution of the FNF, the Friday Night Footy and stuff, is like, I don't know, 120, and the rest.
Well, it's the same as the review cameras.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's a weird choice, and I'll be very interested to see, because there's obviously been a lot of public feedback. I'll be interested to see if it remains next week, or if they trial it for, say, 5 weeks and then there's a change or whatnot. But yeah, just the strangest thing for me was like how big it was, but still didn't take up. It just took up a stupid amount of screen. Like, make it all.
I thought it was like I thought it was like a graphic, like an animation that had gotten stuck. Like, it was like bam, and it was going to retract back into itself, and it was like, nah, it's stuck and it's frozen.
Yep.
And it wasn't frozen. So yeah, not good. Do I care all that much? Probably not. But it's also just a bit. What are you doing?
We'll all get used to it. Like, we'll all get used to it, and it won't be a discussion point in 10 weeks' time. It'll just be there, and we won't remember what the last one looked like. So,
I reckon bring back that one from the 90s that was like a small television that like popped down from the side with like the brown things.
Yeah.
That was classic. Bring that one back.
And you didn't even know the scores half the time. It's like every 5 minutes it would just like shoot the score down.
Yeah, and it would just say like BL.
Yeah.
With no contact, or even that one that looked like it was done on like one of those old Ataris that you'd play like Pong on. Not that we ever did that, but if we had, that's what it looks like, where it was just a blue background with pixels.
Yep.
Simple, elegant. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And bring back the 5-minute warning while you're at it.
I mean, that's a cry people have been singing for a long time. The 5-minute warning. Personally, I don't like the 5-minute warning.
Yeah, but it's because you're close to a cardiac arrest at the best of times.
That's true. All right, well, that's all well and done. Hey,
knock on wood there.
Tipping, our tips for this week. How did you go? Did you go 2 from 2? Did you go 1 from 2? Did you go none
1 from 2?
I also went 1 from 2.
Yeah, no, I didn't tip. I tipped Sydney and I tipped GWS.
Yeah. That's where I landed as well. Don't forget, you can join the Brisbane Lions Fancast tipping competition. The link is available at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. I'm just trying to...
All right, shall I rail off my tips for this round?
Yes, please.
All right, here we go. Let's have a look. That's opening round. Next round.
We've got 90-plus players in our competition now, by the way.
All right, nice. So if someone joins late, do they have to start from the round that they jump in on, or do they get retrospectively?
No, if they've been doing tipping the whole time and then they decide to join our competition, their tips should carry over, I think.
Cool.
I'm fairly certain that's how it works.
All right, so let's go Carlton by, that seems pretty good, 37. I tried to get 36. Hawthorn, Geelong, Lions, Bulldogs, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, and West Coast.
You're tipping Melbourne to beat the Giants?
Yes.
Okay. And you said West Coast? Sorry?
Yes, I said West Coast.
You're tipping West Coast to beat the Suns and Melbourne to beat... Okay, I differ with you on those two. I've tipped the Giants and the Suns respectively.
You know, hey, you're not doing your tips here. Your tips are done in secret, in the comfort of your own home, not on the podcast.
I've also tipped Carlton by a lot more than you have.
Well, I thought 6 goals was, all right, but...
Nah, Richmond are going to get some triple-figured losses this year. A few of them.
Possibly. Hopefully, how many times do we play them?
Just the once.
Once, twice?
Once.
Well, hopefully they have one.
The AFL's not going to be that nice to give us Richmond twice and the Suns twice. Which, well, actually, no, the Suns twice is not the walk-up 8 points it used to be. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, they're not going to give us Richmond twice.
Jesus, you lambasting me for tipping West Coast, and you're like just throwing that
has
all the way under the bus.
That has thrown me, Melbourne and West Coast, that you've tipped those two. Is it simply home ground advantage?
I don't think West Coast are going to be as bad as last year, and I don't think the Suns travel well. And also, I just think like Clayton Oliver looks like a player again. Petrarca's back. Sure. I don't know. If like, I don't think that like GWS were good. Don't get me wrong, but it's tipping. Whatever.
Okay. We'll get your tips in. Make sure they're done by the time that the ball bounces on Thursday night at the MCG for the old traditional opener, Richmond Carlton at the MCG. All right, the massive discussion point in the AFL at the moment is opening round, yay or nay. 2 years now, and obviously Cyclone Alfred has affected this one, but I don't know how much difference it would have made.
Yeah, Bennett.
Yeah.
I don't see the value in I don't see the value in it because they're not doing it like the NRL's already got the jump.
Yeah.
So it's sort of it's a reaction that's kind of feckless in the way that it's not really doing anything. That said, it's not to say like put away. I reckon play GWS and Collingwood every season in round one.
Yeah,
like they're getting their own little round one rivalry going on. It's good. I like to see sort of replays of good games and stuff like that in round one. And I think you can tell the reason why they have Collingwood playing GWS is because they're trying to get numbers to game as much as anything.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good. But yeah, I just don't think it's overly necessary. And then I think it creates a lot of stupidity around the buys and things like that, so that you end up with like Gold Coast playing Essendon in round 27 and the luckiness, the fact that we're playing in round 3, but then it also means we don't get a bye until I think like round 16 or something like that, so it's like way late, around 14 maybe.
Yep.
So it kind of, in a season where ideally you'd want it to almost be split by thirds, it's not the way that it is. And play them as they are, have 3 rounds of buys or 2 rounds of buys in the middle of the season, and just get on with it.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. And the leading sort of alternative was the one that Michael Voss threw up on radio day before yesterday. Just said, look...
Oh, no, Michael Voss. What did he say?
He said, it's a national competition. We can still, there's 2 teams in Perth, 2 teams in Queensland, 2 teams in New South Wales, 2 in Adelaide, 10 in Victoria. You can, if you want to make it, everyone gets their go, have it a national competition, opening round, have 2 games over in Perth, 2 games in Queensland, 2 in New South Wales, 2 in Adelaide. That leaves 2 teams to play each other in Melbourne, or you have 1 in each, and there's a few more games in Melbourne as well. So just whatever you do, make sure that there's a game in every state in opening weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the reason why they would not do that would be because of Gather Round being kind of a overt South Australian thing. Which, I don't know. That would be the reason why.
It's just what they've got now is dumb. And like I said, I know the Cyclone played a big part in it being really shit this weekend, but it was just, I don't know, that's not how you launch an AFL season.
I just don't think that the best opening round no one would care.
Yeah.
It would still be, oh, well, what the hell is this? Where's my team? And it's like, yeah, it comes from cynicism and that sort of thing. But yeah, just start the season. Like, don't overcomplicate it. And don't even think of bringing in wildcard round.
Mate, I have a feeling that will be here at some point.
I like the fact that Andrew Dillon is going to basically, be known as the worst AFL chair or CEO, whatever they're called. He'll be like, yeah, we brought in opening round, brought in wildcard round, and it'll be like, and Tasmania didn't have a stadium.
Mid-season trade will be in the next couple of years.
If they bring in mid-season trade, I'm trading myself out of the podcast. You can get someone else in.
Oh.
But I'll have to go to another team or something. I'm not going to another team. It'll be a covert thing, but yeah. No, mid-season trade can get out of here.
Yeah,
wildcard round can get out of here.
I'll entertain wildcard round when there's an odd number of teams. That's when I'll entertain it. But until then, yeah, I'm with you. You can get out of here. And mid-season trade, the idea of that does my head in.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. All right, well, we have got a game against the Swans, the grand final rematch at the SCG this Saturday night. We've spoken about our opening round team. The amendment is obviously going to have to be, we don't have to worry about Shadowbrain coming in for Brandon Starcevich, or that weird theory popped up last week of Jasper Fletcher playing down back, which allowed Levi Ashcroft into the team. So what I will ask you is just one question, and one question only, is do you think Levi Ashcroft gets a game this week?
No. I think we do what we initially said, where it's just a grand final team with Sam Day and
yeah, and you have Connor McKenna as the sub again.
Yeah, maybe it could be someone else, but yeah, why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does make the team and potentially as sub. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm probably in agreement with you of that settled lineup.
I wonder if Connor McKenna in the off-season, because he's played a bit forward, he obviously can play back. I wonder if he did a bit of like soul-searching of being like, I'm going to be the super sub. I'm going to be versatile. I'm going to be able to go where I need to go. But who knows? I just think it's... he proved himself valuable when he wasn't in particularly great form last year. So that squaring kick for Logan Morris. Oh, I love it. Yeah, Give me more of that.
The little Irish chip into the goal square. Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. As I said, I think Sydney will make a couple of changes from their team, and obviously Taylor Adams headlines that one. There'll be a few others, I think.
Bring them on.
Bring them on. Now, you sent me a very strange text message today, and it was about the Collingwood Magpies. I know you said you didn't necessarily want to talk about this, but I've also got some props here for you as well. So there's a little bit of a discussion point. So you
props?
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Well, this is not something I've spoken to you about, but this you go with your thing first, and I'll.
Are we doing red faces from Hey Hey It's Saturday?
No.
Have you got a gong back there?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. So one of the things that everyone's talking about Collingwood's aged list.
Yep.
And it is ancient, tremendously ancient. But one thing I find to be annoying is when people do list analysis, they look at the entire squad and go like, the average age of the squad. So you look at most AFL teams and they're sitting around 25 as the average age, and they're basically within about 0.5 of one another either way.
Yep.
So it's largely an exercise in futility. So I went through Collingwood's team that they put out on the field. And sorry, I got to make sure I talk into the microphone. I got my laptop here doing spreadsheets like a nerd.
Yep.
Who would have thought that would have happened? So their average age in round 0 was 28.2, and that is old.
Yeah.
And the question that I asked you was, who comes out for DeGoey and
Tom Mitchell and the
Houston, Tom Mitchell, yeah.
And my immediate reaction was, don't care.
And I'm trying to do something here. There's a thought experiment. But if you bring in DeGoey and Houston for the two the two midfielders or whatever, they crank all the way up to like 29 as an average age. And it just goes to show that like you can talk about squads and they'll be like, oh, the list is the most old or whatever. They're so old. They are so old. Like, if you compare that to our team that played in the grand final, we are significantly younger by magnitudes of 3 years.
Yep.
And that's including Sam Day rocking around, who's older than Dano. So it's just like people think that the Lions are this old list because we've got some experienced players and we somehow like match up as like second in the oldest list. But our team is probably like somewhere in the middle. Game-wise, quite experienced. But the thing is, it's like Collingwood, their youngest player is Dacos, and he's 22. Whereas we've got like friggin' Logan Morris and Ashcroft and other Ashcroft and
Wilmot and
guys like
Lohman
that.
And
yeah, and they're all young dudes that are like, our team is heading into the prime, and like, I did a little thing for where I think the team could be, and this is not like who I think the best players are. I put Kadeen Coleman in the team and I put Henry Smith in the team in place of Day, and for the end of the season when I think Zorko will retire. Yep. So I put Coleman in for Zorko, and it reduces our age even further to like 25 and a bit as an average age. It's like, it's wild. And then list's in great shape. They should do it more like this. If they're going to do prospective best teams, do the average age and the average experience of that. Don't include, I don't want to fire strays at Zane Zakostelski, but don't include him. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my little thing. Where are your props?
Okay, so every year I get invited to what's called the Inappropriate Christmas Party. And there is a Secret Santa that goes along with this, and the idea of the Secret Santa.
I hate this story already.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, just bear with me here. And there's going to be some visuals, so make sure you do check this out on YouTube. Every year, the Secret Santa, the idea of the present you give someone is meant to, like, I don't know, prey on their insecurities or be somewhat offensive to them, and it's all meant to be a bit of lighthearted fun. So, that being said, Give me 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Oh, God.
So the gift I was given was a framed photo of the 2024 Collingwood Magpies team photo. And down the bottom there is, I guess, a little plaque that says, Players' Choice Award, Dedication and Loyalty Supporter, James Brooks, Season 2024. The other thing that I got, along with that, because that wasn't enough.
I'm sorry, everybody. This is awful.
Was
No, it's a baby one.
Yeah, a little toddler-sized Collingwood Guernsey that I was meant to give to my son, who does not know it exists at the moment, so it will remain that way. So those are just in my house. I don't know what to do with them, and I've had them for 3 or 4 months now.
I reckon just do a drive-by of Sherwood Magpies and just frisbee throw the picture out, and yeah, give it to some little kitty that doesn't have a Guernsey.
Yeah, so that's there you go.
Well, that's horrible.
I know I've got Collingwood memorabilia in my house, man. That's no good.
I'm trying to think of what kind of insane dumb stuff I've got in here, but that takes the cake by a mile.
I feel like it feels wrong. I feel dirty just having it.
See, I felt bad because my indoor soccer team wore royal blue, and it looks a bit like a Chelsea Guernsey, and I hated wearing that. And it wasn't even branded. It was just like a random Adidas shirt. So most of my shirts are maroon or burgundy out of principle. Because A, it's a really good colour. And it brings out my eyes. Nah, that's a bit much. I don't know why I'm looking around to see what kind of stuff I've got here.
But, you know, I do appreciate the effort that Scott went to here to get that, because he's actually got it, you know, printed and framed and stuff. That would have cost a bit. There would be a Collingwood fan that would absolutely fucking love that.
Can we shout out a Collingwood fan called James Brooks?
I mean, you can just scrub out the plaque, put something else on top of it, I guess.
Yeah, but we could really make Collingwood.
I'm not using my podcast
reality
to look for Collingwood fans with my name. Wife's already on.
You don't have to use that. We can just.
I'm already on a knife's edge over here, having it in my house.
Yeah, well, you could have made someone's day. Some poor toothless Collingwood fan.
Also,
James Brooks.
Also, everyone would have got to see me in my pajamas as well on YouTube, so that's good.
Yeah. At least you wore pants.
Yeah, look. All right, it has been a bit of a quick episode this week. Cyclone Alfred really has done a number. I've been dealing with water, as is a lot of other people. We didn't have footy to talk about, not involving the Lions, but we do have a game this weekend against the Swans, and it is all to look forward to. A bit of a reshuffled start to the year. There we go, mate.
Do we have any questions?
No, I didn't solicit for questions this week because I wasn't really sure if we were going to get the podcast done at all. So, no questions.
Yeah, but I mean, unsolicited questions are the kind of the main thing.
I know. Well, we didn't get any of those. But I do want to say thank you to everyone that sort of did say stay safe and was very understanding about the delay of the podcast when I put that post up yesterday saying it was going to be a little bit of a wait on this one.
I feel like that's okay.
I don't know. I feel a responsibility to our listeners, you know, and I mean, I do enjoy doing this with you every week. So we're here. We've got a game of footy to look forward to, barring any natural disasters. Don't look at me like that.
Oh, you're the king of tempting fate here.